What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Too Pop to Handle. I'm your host, Andrew Nucatola, your pop culture best friend, and as always, I hope you guys are having a fabulous week. It is currently the first Tuesday of May, which means yesterday was the first Monday of May, which means the Met Gala happened yesterday, and my God, was it a Met Gala for the books. Just about everybody. I'm not going to say everybody because you will see, obviously, I have some opinions on some of the looks that aren't so great. But overall, this Met Gala truly was unbelievable. Truly one of the best carpets I feel like we've had in years. Like everyone, for the most part, stepped out, showed up, really stayed on theme, which is what I'm the most thrilled about. Usually with the Met Gala, my biggest complaint is that not everybody stays on theme, and it's like, okay, you just wanted to look pretty. But I feel like this year, even the people who usually just show up wearing whatever they want because they want to stunt a look or look pretty, whatever, and don't always follow the theme, I feel like for the most part, everybody stayed on theme. And my only biggest issue really is that I wanted them to go a little bit further with it, but we'll get into that in a little bit. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Hello again. I hope you guys are having a fabulous week. If you remember last week, I was saying how I was going to see Charlie XCX on Wednesday. And I just need to say, this was now my third Charlie show in the Brat era. I saw her Brat release week in Brooklyn to Brooklyn Paramount. I saw her at the Sweat Tour. I went to Denver, if you remember. I did that recap. That was back in October. I flew to Denver to see her in Troy. And then obviously last week I saw her at the Barclays Center. And seeing her just continue on this up and up through this Brat era is so incredible. And watching her on that stage, literally by herself. At most, there are two people on stage. It's her and a cameraman. Other than that, she is just filling that stage with such a presence and an energy. It was so impressive. And I've been seeing Charlie, I think the first time I saw her had to be 2014, 2015. 2015 Gov Ball, it had to be. Yeah. So it was I've been seeing her for 10 years now and just watching her evolution over the years. And I've seen her through the years, at other Gov Balls. I saw her open for Taylor for a bunch of shows. I've been to her solo tours. I've seen her a ton, but just the shift in which everything's changed for her through the Brat era. It's so impressive to watch not only her crazy projection over the last year, but just the way she really is able to fill that stage and that arena with so much energy with nothing but her and a lime green curtain and some fireworks. It is so incredible. I had such a good time. And now the Brat tour is over. She's going to do a few festivals overseas, and she has one more sweat show with Troy at Primavera Sound in Barcelona. And other than that, Brat is coming to an end. So I figured we would have some type of idea of what was coming next on Sunday after the final US leg show, but we didn't get really anything. We don't know what's next. So she's keeping us on our toes. Also, I guess if she was to have, if she had announced something Sunday night with the Met Gala on Monday, it would kind of take away from the announcement. So I do get that, she had to kind of be strategic there, which is so anti-Brat. I feel Brat is all about just doing whatever you want, not having a strategy and doing the unexpected. So who knows? We will see what is next for Charlie as it comes. She has a bunch of acting projects coming up. She still has some Brat shows, like I said, for festivals, but not her own tour. So we will see. Just such a fun show. And then we went to Rise and Hell's Kitchen after, which was so much fun. They did a Charlie XX after party. It was all Charlie music. It was so much fun. I went to Rise for my birthday brunch as well. So if you listened a few weeks ago when I did my birthday weekend recap and I said we went to that drag show on my birthday, that was at Rise. It's always a good time there. Always a messy night at Rise. It's always just going to end up being sloppy, fun, drunk, dancing. It's always a great time there. And on the topic of concerts, I have a very exciting concert weekend coming up. I'm seeing SZA and Kendrick on Friday night at MetLife with my boyfriend, my best friend, and her boyfriend, which I'm so excited for. We bought these tickets months ago, and we've all just been counting down to it. So it's going to be so much fun. And then on Monday night, I'm going to see Rachel Chinariri, which I'm so excited for. You guys know I love her. I'm so excited to see her. It'll be my first time seeing her because I didn't get to see her on her last tour when she came. I wasn't able to get a ticket because it was last minute and I didn't get to go. So very excited to be seeing her. Always love seeing SZA. Always love seeing Kendrick. So I'm very excited for this weekend. We will chat all about it next week. And of course, if you want to follow along for real-time updates, follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok. I'll be doing vlogs and stories and, the whole nine as you do. And that being said, I think it's time to just kick this show off because I'm so excited to get to our Met Gala discussion. But you guys know the drill. We have some housekeeping to do before that. So kicking things off with our Drew releases, our new music releases from last week and our new new music releases coming up this week. We had Miss Kelly Clarkson. If you remember last week, I was saying there was no release date when I was recording, but as I pressed record last week, she posted like a video with the title of the single, which is Where Have You Been? And I was like, this must be coming out Friday. Like, she's doing all this promotion. She got announced for the Today Show. That was this morning. So lo and behold, the single did come out. And to nobody's surprise, the song is fabulous. I actually thought it was really interesting. While I was listening to it, I was like, what are these lyrics about? You know, it's about meeting somebody after thinking time has run out and, you know, there's no more time to meet the love of your life. And now you finally met them and where have you been? And I was like, Kelly just went through a divorce and she doesn't seem to be dating anybody publicly. So I had to kind of put my, you know, detective search mode on and be like, what is this song about? And she talked about on her Sirius XM show that the show is actually inspired by Only Murders in the Building. She said, I've rarely done something like this, but I was watching Only Murders in the Building and it's Martin Short's face. He says to Meryl's character in the show, where have you been? He was in awe. And I was like, has there ever been a song written about this? Because the song is happy, because it's like you found something that you thought was almost basically a unicorn and did not exist. And you guys know I love Only Murders in the Building, and Meryl Streep and Martin Short's on-screen relationship and now their off-screen relationship has been something I just love. It's such like a wholesome, just like joyous little corner of pop culture that I just adore. And to know that like she's watching the show and is like inspired enough by it to now write the song. We also know Kelly is a huge Meryl Streep fan. That video of her when she's getting interviewed by Ryan Seacrest, I believe it was at the Golden Globes in like 2018. And she like stops the interview with Ryan Seacrest to run down the red carpet because she's like, oh my God, it's Meryl Streep. I need to go say hi to Meryl. And she like fangirls over Meryl and Ryan like lets them have their moment. Like we know Kelly's a huge Meryl Streep fan, as most people are. I mean, what's not to love about Meryl? So it's seeing like the fact that Kelly was inspired by this like on-screen romance from the two of them that has now developed to something off-screen. So much fun. And I love it. And I love that she's like taking inspiration from things other than her life. You know, she's like she's allowing herself to create art based off of other art, which I think is a really fun and unique thing to do. I think of like the Netflix movie Someone Great that was inspired by Clean by Taylor Swift. And in return, Taylor wrote Death by a Thousand Cuts that was inspired by the movie Someone Great, not knowing that Someone Great was inspired by Clean. And like, I love when I can see an artist or a writer or a producer, whatever, or director, whatever it is, you know, see art, hear art, whatever it is, and be so inspired by it to create their own art. And that's exactly what we're seeing here with Kelly. So just a fun little moment for Kelly to write a song about something that, you know, she went through such a crazy divorce recently. So love songs aren't something that's really on her horizon, but I'm happy to see that she's able to kind of find that spark and find that joy elsewhere, you know, even if it isn't happening in her life or it's not what she's going through. I think it's cool when an artist is able to do that. We also had Maroon 5 featuring Lisa releasing Priceless last week, and Maroon 5 and I have had like an interesting relationship. I was obsessed with them, as most people were in like the early 2000s, early 2010s. They were really dominating like the pop music space. And as somebody who doesn't listen to a lot of male artists, Maroon 5 really was one that I was like consistently writing for. I mean, like I love songs about Jane, Hands All Over, even Overexposed. And what was the other one they put out right after that? It was like 5 or V or something. I was really into them back in like the early 2000s, early 2010s, and I kind of fell off. But this song kind of gives me that early Maroon 5 kind of vibe, that like summer bop that just is like here to make like a little radio hit. You know, it pleases the mom crowd, but like it's a good song. So I'm really into this. I'm really liking it. I honestly liked it a lot more than I expected, which is a pleasant surprise. You know, I went into it kind of being like, all right, it's a Maroon 5 song, but Lisa might save it. And I feel like Maroon 5 or Adam Levine, you know, however you want to divvy it out, I feel like Adam and Lisa both really pulled their weight on this song. And I would definitely be, you know, adding it to my playlist and keeping it on rotation because it has like a good upbeat summer vibe. Loving that. And that wraps up our music releases from last week. But this week coming up, we have a very exciting release from no other than Miss Miley Cyrus. She is releasing the 3rd single from her upcoming album, Something Beautiful. It's called More to Lose. It'll be coming out on Friday. She actually performed this last week at like this week or over the weekend, I don't know, at like a pre-Met Gala party, and it sounds beautiful. So I'm excited to see how the final version comes out, because if you think back to End of the World, when she performed that for the first time last year, it was like a slowed down stripped acoustic version, and then we got the final production. It was a little more sped up, had like a pop version to it. So I'm curious to see how the live performance will mirror the actual studio performance. I will do a reaction video to this on Friday, so if you're not already subscribed to me on YouTube, make sure you head over there and subscribe now. I've been having a lot of fun doing these reaction videos, and I've been finding a lot of new subscribers through them, so it's been a fun little way to give a little something extra during the week and also connect with a new audience. So very fun there. I've been loving that new little thing I've been doing for you guys. So make sure you head over there. Very excited for this new release from Miley. And we're getting the album very soon. It comes out the end of the month. So I'm curious how many other singles we're going to get before the album comes out, because now we're on 3. And I believe the album's only like maybe 12 tracks. I could be making that up, but I don't remember. I don't think it's like 15, 16. I don't think it's too long, which I appreciate. I don't love a super long album. So I'm curious how many singles we're going to end up getting from this album before it actually comes out. But we will see when May 30th comes along. And that wraps up our Drew releases. And before we hop into our moments from the week that were just too pop to handle, I just love to always remind you guys that it costs $0 to leave me a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You hear it from every podcast you listen to, but it really is the best way to help support the show. We wouldn't say it over and over and beat this dead horse if we didn't mean it. So thank you to everybody who has left me a rating or a review on those apps. I really appreciate it. And if you haven't yet, or if you're new here, hello, welcome. I hope you love what you're hearing. And if you would take the moment to go ahead and leave me a 5-star rating, I would really appreciate it. And with that, let's get into some pop culture rapid fire, some moments from the week that were just too pop to handle. Kicking off with one that kind of carries over from last week's main point of the episode, which is the Cowboy Carter tour. One thing about Beyoncé is she is going to be incredibly petty, and I love that about her. So if you didn't know, in one of her interludes, she's like walking through, pretty much just like covering the globe and walking around, and she picks up this sphere in Las Vegas, and she like looks at it. I think she like tapped on it and then put it back down. Literally, that was it. Doesn't have branding on it. It is just a visual of the sphere, and that is it. It's maybe all of 8 seconds in the entire interlude. Well, the owner of the sphere decided to send Beyoncé a cease and desist for using their visual, which I guess, yeah, I get legally why, but also like, it's not like she's like, saying anything negative about the sphere. She's picking it up after she goes through all these other landmarks. The Statue of Liberty, the Eiffel Tower, there's so many other landmarks in this interlude that she passes by, and like the sphere is the one that has a problem with it. So the letter accused her of impermissible use and violation, and it kind of then put the rumors to rest of her doing a sphere residency. It's been like this floating rumor for the last few years that Beyoncé is going to do a residency at the sphere, and it does make sense because Beyoncé is such a visual artist, and like her visual elements of her tour really do play such a big factor in the overall show. So a venue like the Sphere that is so visually forward, it makes sense for Beyoncé to do a show there. However, it just hasn't happened yet and hasn't been announced. And there's been rumors and there's been like these, there's always numbers floating around online that they offered her this much and she turned it down or whatever it may be. So who knows if it was actually going to happen or, if she was thinking about it. But I feel like this cease and desist kind of is now deterring her away from it, because like, why would she go perform at your venue if you're going to be pressed over her using your venue in a 8-second clip? Like, I don't see Beyonce she doesn't need to perform at the Sphere. Like, she's doing just fine not performing there. And in typical petty Beyonce fashion, she edited the Sphere out, and now she picks up Allegiant Stadium, where she's performing later this year for the Cowboy Carter tour. It actually might be closing weekend in Vegas. I don't remember exactly, but I know she's performing there. It was like that weird Vegas was on the poster, but wasn't announced, and then it got announced a few weeks later. So I'm assuming it's closing weekend of the tour. But I was just like, why are we sending her a cease and desist for an 8-second clip? Like, you that press over her not performing at this, like, you've really gotta you got to go this route. It just seemed silly to me. But you know what? Just like I said last week, Beyonce will always get the last laugh. And now the Sphere has been edited out of her tour visuals. Allegiant Stadium is in. And the Beehive has beef with the Sphere. So that is that. And moving on to our next moment of the week, that was just too pop to handle. Quinta Brunson was the host on SNL this weekend. It was her second time hosting the show. And just like the first time, she knocked it out of the park. I mean, this is something that was just like Quinta was born to do. She is so naturally funny. And I mean, all of her past skits she used to do with BuzzFeed, Abbott Elementary, and just like everything she's done has led up to her being on SNL. And she's the perfect fit for this. She gets it. You know, she has the comedic timing. It comes natural to her, which isn't something that everybody who goes on SNL can say. You know, it's not always an easy feat, but this is something that is just like in Quinta's bones. And like I said, just like her first time, she knocked it out of the park. And this was honestly such a great week to host SNL because everybody was already in New York ahead of the Met Gala. So you really had like such such a big selection and a pool to pick from when it came to special guests and special appearances. And during her monologue, she talked about her past and her old job she used to have. And then she started going into the whole joke about her being really short. She said, they tried to cast me as a kid on Abbott Elementary and I'm the one who wrote it, which I thought was hilarious. And then she broke into this little song number singing about how short she is. And then lo and behold, Miss Short and Sweet herself, Sabrina Carpenter, comes out, and it was a fun little reunion. They did the Christmas special together back in December. So I love seeing the two of them together. And I love when SNL makes a singer not sing well. Like Sabrina was up there singing, but like she wasn't giving us vocals. It was like part of the bit that like she wasn't singing well. Very reminiscent of like Domingo, where like Ariana was on there and she was singing completely tone deaf. I love when SNL like doesn't play into their talents and kind of is like, no, this is our show. You're going to do it the way that we want. So I love that little reunion. She also brought out Dwayne Wade, which is funny. He did the whole little like, yeah, I'm taller than you guys, but in the basketball world, when you have like the Shaqs and LeBron of the world who are so much taller than me, I'm the short one on the team. So a fun little, representation for, even though he's not short, he's short in his world. So that was fun. Of course, he was also here for the Met Gala with Gabrielle Union. And the rest of the show was great. I thought it was so funny. They did another traffic altercation with Mikey Day and Chloe Fineman. They did ferry altercation this time. And I love that skit. My boyfriend and I quote it all the time. It's one of the funniest skits I think that they've done in a while on SNL. They actually did it with Martin Short. I didn't realize this, but when I was looking up the skits just for, my episode research purposes, they did another one with Martin Short a few months ago, which I thought was really funny that they're now making this like a thing with Mikey Day and Chloe Fineman. Loved that. They also did a play on the whole 100 men versus gorillas thing that's going on online right now, which is a whole nother side of the internet that I'm not going to get into. But when SNL's on it, they are on it. And like, I love how quick they can be with things. And it was two bitches versus a gorilla. People are getting a little up in arms about it. They are a little offended by this sketch and saying, it was very racist and painting black women as angry. And, obviously I am a white male. I am not the person to speak on their behalf. I thought the sketch was funny, but I can see where people would be upset by it and think it was offensive. However, I do think Quinta and Ego would have stepped up and been like, hey, let's not do this if they were uncomfortable with it. Because again, they had because they do get they get the right to say when they do or don't want to do a sketch. And I'm sure Quinta and Ego were very involved in the writing of it. And I'm sure they would have said something if they didn't feel comfortable doing it. But again, I am not the person to be critiquing this or saying if it was offensive or not. I did think it was funny. I did laugh at it. And it's SNL, it's not supposed to be taken that seriously. But I can understand where people could see, a not favorable moment in that sense. I know people were mostly upset about the fact that it was like two bitches versus a gorilla, not two women versus a gorilla. So I understand. And that's a whole different story. But again, overall, I thought Quinta did a great job on this episode. I thought it was really funny. And I just love seeing Quinta Brunson winning. It is just my favorite category of content to see. And continuing on with some other TV news, this is actually something I wouldn't normally report on just because it's not like it's something that was like breaking news or really reported anywhere. It's still kind of hush hush, but I was seeing it all over the place. And it does refer to the new season of Drag Race that is filming now. That'll be coming out in January. And it's not like the first time this has happened in the Drag Race community. So I thought it'd be fun to just chit chat about it. So allegedly, Discord Adams, who is a queen from Florida, originally from Chicago, but moved to Florida from what I could see, has been disqualified from Drag Race in the middle of filming. So I don't know how long the girls have been filming. And I don't usually look into rumored casts or anything going on, where it's what's going on behind the scenes filming, because I like to be surprised when I watch the show. However, this was inescapable in the timeline this week. And I think because we've seen this happen so many times with people on the show, whether it's during filming, after production, whatever it may be. So Discord Adams has been disqualified from the show. Nobody knows exactly what happened or how it went down, but we're all kind of just assuming it has something to do with some racist things she has said or done in the past. There were some tweets that people found from Shea Coulee, who obviously is the voice of Chicago drag, and her drag daughter, Bambi Banks Coulee. Back in 2020, 2021, they had a lot to say about Discord, and apparently they kind of ran her out of Chicago. Not just Shea and Bambi, everyone was kind of yeah, no, you're not going to come to Chicago and do this. Which apparently, again, this is all just what I could find on Reddit, but it is what made her go to Florida from what I could find. And now she has been disqualified from the show. So again, I don't know how long they've been filming or, how many episodes in they are. are, but it just makes me curious. Like, I wonder how they're going to approach this, considering like we've seen them approach it so many different ways. Obviously with Willem, we saw them disqualify Willem literally on air mid-season. It was like, but that was also like, it happened during the season. Her husband came to, or her partner, I forget, came to the set and they were seeing each other in the hotel room, which obviously disqualification. So Ru just did it on the runway. We've also seen them edit people out completely the day before the season premieres with Sherry Pie in season 12. Like literally all of that went down whenever she got exposed for all of the horrible things that she did. They edited her out like a day before the season premiered, which was insane, but they edited it out so seamlessly and like they're able to do it. So I'm curious how they're going to do this disqualification, if they're going to air it and be like, hey, you know, we saw this happen to you and we know what happened, and kick her out, or if they're just going to edit her out of everything that's happened so far and continue on the season as regular. Because again, we've seen both. I mean, we've also seen them completely like address people's controversial past on the main stage and like keep pushing on like nothing happened, like with Scarlett Adams on Drag Race Down Under when she had a history of blackface, and they just completely were like, oh, okay, like how do you feel about this now, and kind of addressed it and kept the show rolling and didn't disqualify her, which was kind of crazy when you really think about it. But very curious to see how they're going to go about this with season 18. And it's crazy that we're already seeing leaks and seeing things about season 18 when the last season literally just ended. Like Anya Nerve got crowned, 2 weeks ago, when we're already seeing things about season 18. Again, I don't usually read into these things that much. Like I'm not someone who like keeps up with like the spoilers on Reddit, because I like to be surprised with the cast announcements and as it goes on. But this was like inescapable in the timeline. And I was like, this is kind of a big thing for Drag Race. It's been a few times where this has happened, and there's many different avenues where they can go with the disqualification. So I'm very curious to see how they approach it, and I'm wondering how they're going. Like, how many episodes in have they been? How many did they film? Are they going to bring in like an alternate, just like they did with Jada? Like, if you didn't know, Jada Essence Hall wasn't supposed to be on this season, and then somebody dropped out like right before. So Jada had like 2 weeks less than everybody else. I don't think they're going to bring somebody else in just because they're already been filming, and I don't think there's enough time for somebody to create a package. Like, I just think that's not feasible for somebody to do, and it wouldn't give them a fair run. And also, if they've already filmed even 2 or 3 episodes, they're not going to make them redo it. Like, it just doesn't make sense. So I don't think they're going to add a new girl, but I am really curious how they're going to go about disqualifying her on the show. If they're going to just like not announce her at all and act like she was never there, or if they're going to show Ru or somebody addressing it and, you know, disqualifying her live on television. We will see. Just very crazy that we're already seeing things about Drag Race season 18. They do not stop over at World of Wonder. It is insane. And the next and final moment from the week that was just too pop to handle before we get into our Met Gala recap is the Tony Award nominations are here. The award show will take place on June 8th here in New York City at Radio City Music Hall. And I've been having this conversation with my friends a lot. I don't think I've really said it on the podcast as much, but it really feels like Broadway is really back right now for a while, like after the pandemic, and, you know, really trying to like find its footing. It was hard because people didn't want to spend money to go to shows, and like the shows that were on Broadway, there were some good ones. There were the classics, you know, The Wicked, The Lion King, the shows that are like, you know, the classics that everybody loves. Hamilton, you know, there were the shows that are always going to perform well, but a lot of the new shows that were coming out just like weren't lasting long. They were coming as fast as they were going. And I feel like we're finally in a place with Broadway where like the shows are sticking, and they're sticking for longer than usual. We're getting extensions rather than closing dates. There was a time where like we were seeing shows close within like a month of previews. It was crazy the way that it was just like no life for a lot of these shows. And I feel like we're in a really good place with Broadway right now. And I really hope it stays that way, because Broadway is such like a lifeline in New York and a huge part of what makes New York, New York. So I was very excited for this year's Tonys to see what's going to get nominated, who's going to get nominated. And we had some huge ladies and guys, of course, but you know, we're always looking at the women here at Too Pop to Handle who were on these stages this year making like crazy, you know, whether it's returns to Broadway or starring in a new production. So I thought it would be fun to just kind of go through a few of the categories. I'm not going to go through every single one because, of course, we will be here forever if I read them all, but I just kind of picked out like the big ones to win. So kicking it off with the biggest one for the night is Best Musical. We have Buena Vista Social Club, Dead Outlaw, Death Becomes Her, Maybe Happy Ending, and Operation Mincemeat. For Best Play, we have English, The Hills Hills of California. John Proctor as the villain, Oh Mary, and Purpose. For Best Revival of a Musical, we have Floyd Collins, Gypsy, Pirates the Penzance Musical, and Sunset Boulevard. For Best Revival of a Play, we have Eureka Day, Romeo and Juliet, Thornton Wilder's Our Town, and Yellowface. For Best Performance by an Actor in a Leading Role in a Play, we have George Clooney, Good Night and Good Luck, Cola Scola, Oh Mary, John Michael Hill, Purpose, Daniel Day Kim, Yellowface, Harry Lennox, Purpose, and Louis McCartney in Stranger Things, The First Shadow. Best Performance by an Actress in a Leading Role in a Play, we have Laura Donnelly, The Hills of California, Mia Farrow, The Roommate, LaTanya Richardson Jackson in Purpose, Sadie Sink and John Proctor as the villain, Sarah Snook in The Picture of Dorian Gray. And then for Best Performance by an Actor in a Leading Role in a Musical, we have Darren Criss, Maybe Happy Ending, Andrew Duran, Dead Outlaw, Tom Francis, Sunset Boulevard, Jonathan Groff, Just in Time, James Monroe Iglehart in A Wonderful World, the Louis Armstrong Musical, and Jeremy Jordan in Floyd Collins. And then finally, we have Best Performance by an Actress in a Leading Role in a Musical. We have Megan Hilty, Death Becomes Her, Audra McDonald, Gypsy, Jasmine Amy Rogers, Boop the Musical, Nicole Scherzinger, Sunset Boulevard, and Jennifer Simard in Death Becomes Her. And just looking at this list, like I said, Broadway really is so back for the first time in a while, it feels like. I mean, just looking at the list of Best Performance by an Actress in a Leading Role in a Musical, this is a mother convention. I mean, Megan, Audra, Jasmine, Nicole, Jennifer, like, these are such strong talents. And like, I could see any of these 5 women taking this. Like, they are all so insanely talented that, like, it really is anybody's game. Also, just looking at Jasmine Amy Rogers, like, this is her Broadway debut in Boop the Musical, and getting a Tony nomination, that is what we like to see. I am so excited to see just, like, the future of what she does, because she's getting such rave reviews in Boop the Musical, and I just can't wait to see where she goes from here. And I mean, looking at Best Performance by an Actor in a Leading Role in a Musical, Darren Criss and Jonathan Groff both being nominated for this category, Blaine Anderson and Jesse St. James. Like, what do you mean? What Glee parallel universe are we living in that Blaine Anderson and Jesse St. James are nominated against each other for a Tony? This is for the Gleeks. Like, they did this for us. Just looking at this list overall, these shows that I have seen, I've seen Oh Mary, which is incredible. I cannot stress enough how much everybody needs to see the show. They actually just extended it again. So I believe the show is running until July or August. So you have plenty of time to go see it. Get tickets to this show. It is unbelievable. Truly, like, it's nothing I've ever seen before. It is so incredibly funny. And then I've also seen Sunset Boulevard, which I loved. I just talked about that a few weeks ago, so I'm not going to go too in depth about it there, but I did really like it. And I do want to see a lot of these shows on this list. Like, I have been dying to go see Death Becomes Her, to see Gypsy. I mean, I have to see Audra. Like, I need to. I really want to see Boop. So I am going to make it a point to try to see as many of these shows as I can before the Tonys. That does give me about a month to try to see these. So I'm going to enter the lotteries. I'm going to try to do Rush. I'm going to try to do it as much of a budget as I can. You know, I can't really go too crazy. Let's not forget I am unemployed at the moment, but I do want to, you know, utilize living in New York and like the lottery system, going to get Rush tickets. You know, there are cheap ways to see Broadway shows. So I'm hoping to see at least maybe 2-3 of these shows before the Tonys come, so I can have a better understanding of who's going to win once we get there. But very exciting to see that Broadway is back and to see such stacked categories in the Tonys this year. Very excited for this year's award show, and we will chat about that as it comes up. And now, the moment you have all been waiting for. We have made it to my 2025 Met Gala recap. Like I said at the top of the show, this year's Met Gala really was one for the books. Truly one of the best carpets we have had in years. And for the most part, everybody's looks I was really happy with. There were some that just like were a complete chop for me, but this year more than most, people's looks, they weren't necessarily bad. I just wanted them to go a little bit further. You know, the Met is a fundraiser for the Costume Institute at the end of the day. And when I think like Costume Institute, we want you to go a little bit further. We want you to go over the top and, you know, have fun with it. And most people did, but you'll see a lot of the looks that I wasn't loving are just because they were a little basic and simple. So how we're going to do this, I'm going to go through just the theme and I'll give you guys a little background on the theme and, you know, where it kind of stemmed from. And then we'll go through the dress code. I'm going to go through a few themes throughout the night that I saw. So, you know, some common threads that I saw in people's looks. And then I'm going to give you guys my top 3 favorite looks, my 3 worst looks from the night. And then I'm going to go through a little 2-pop to handle style. We're going to go yes or mess for just a list of people's looks. I pulled out a lot of looks. I have a pretty lengthy list of celebrities, and I'm going to go through whether I thought their look was a yes or a mess. If you are new here, I end every episode with a yes and the mess of the week, so I thought this was a fun way to kind of, tie in the Too Pop to Handle spirit to the show. So without further ado, let's get into the Met Gala 2025 recap. So the theme of this year's exhibit is Superfine Tailoring Black Style. It is a celebration of Black fashion and the history of dandyism. Dandyism is often described as a style, but it's more than just aesthetics. The original dandy was a man whose primary purpose was to stand out by being impeccably groomed and dressed. So we're talking sharp, tailored looks, all the details, whether it's a brooch or a stopwatch or, everything is just like buttoned up perfect. It's that really letting your clothes kind of speak for you. I saw that as like a very common theme throughout the night, like letting the outfit tell the story, which is perfectly embodied by the Met Gala every year. But I think this year specifically, just looking at the landscape of our country and, what's going on politically, I think having this year being really focused on Black style is so important and makes such a statement. And whether it was planned years ago, because I know Pharrell did say that Anna Wintour approached him about being a co-chair in 2023. So I guess this might have been picked a few years ago, but just the fact that like looking at the landscape of our country right now and all of the, all of the choices our president and our current government officials are making. Unfortunately, I do think that having this year's Met Gala be so centered around Black culture and around what Black people have given to fashion and culture just over the years, this was so important. Whether, you want to look at it from just like the fashion standpoint, whatever, like this was a historic Met Gala and something that was so insanely needed just in general, but specifically this year. So I remember when this got announced a few months ago and I was covering just like the announcement of it and I was seeing people kind of like rag on it and be like, I don't want to see people in suits. I don't want to see people menswear, because that's kind of what the overall theme kind of is, that menswear tailored for you kind of look. Like we are celebrating the impact on fashion and culture that we have seen from the Black community and finally giving it the platform that it deserves. I mean, the Met Gala is the biggest stage for fashion. So the fact that they did this, it's just seriously so overdue. And I was so excited to see how everybody interpreted it. And I was pleasantly surprised with the way everybody stayed on theme. The dress code for the night was tailored for you, and some of the themes that I saw throughout a lot of the looks through the night that I noticed, lots of trains, which was very fun. It added like a dramatic sense to the stairs, and it was so gorgeous watching these people walk up the staircase with these stunning trains behind them. Also, we saw a handful of reveals, which I thought was really fun. Lots of theatrics and dramatics in that sense as well, which I loved. Of course, tons of tailored suits, and I'm glad that people leaned into it. We even saw a lot of the women really lean into that like menswear, and a lot of them did a really good job at mixing menswear with like a gown or like a mermaid skirt or something. So we'll get into that in a little bit, but I was so happy to see that people weren't afraid of the theme and they really embraced it and they went for it. We also saw a lot of like accessories, so stopwatches, grills, brooches, like little things, like I said, that really let the outfit speak for itself, which is what a dandy is. It's about letting your clothing really speak that I am, I'm tailored, I am put together, I am thinking of all the little details, and it really just like lets the outfit speak for itself. And we also saw a lot of finger waves and a lot of like, the swoop down curls kind of stuck to your forehead, which really just kind of let people kind of play into the theme a little bit more than just with their outfit. And like I said, I do think that this year's theme really was conveyed on the carpet really, really well. So let's get into these looks. We're going to kick it off with my favorite looks of the night. So my top three, coming in at number 3, was actually the person I had the closest eye on, and I was so excited to see their look, and they did not disappoint, was Doechii. So first and foremost, Doechii is just the coolest person in the world. She showed up wearing custom Louis Vuitton, and I absolutely loved this look. I love the mixed pattern, the shorts with like the classic Louis print on top. I love the little tie. It was like that, like a scarf kind of tied around her neck. The cigar, the shoes, everything about it just had this like coolness to it. She looked great. She really embodied this like tailored to you menswear style. I love the afro, really leaning into like that Black style and Black culture. She ate this up. She looked so phenomenal. I loved this look on her. Coming in at number 2 for my best looks was Rihanna, who not only showed up and shut the carpet down, she also announced her pregnancy, which like such a casual thing for Rihanna to do, have her pregnancy announcement and her pregnancy shoot at the Met Gala. Like only Rihanna could do that. She looked phenomenal. So she showed up wearing custom Marc Jacobs, and just like the theme, it was tailored to her like a glove. She has such a confidence and like a swagger about her that like when she wears menswear, she just does it so perfectly. It fits her so well. It fits her persona so well. And this look was just unbelievable. I mean, Rihanna always shows up and shows out at the Met Gala. And this year, I mean, with the pregnancy, with the theme, and just like the overall theme of like Black culture, like there was no denying that Rihanna was going to shut things down. And A$AP Rocky was a co-chair for the Met Gala, which we'll get into his look in a little bit. So of course she had to really go the next step beyond. And when you think of like iconic Met Gala looks, Rihanna is like comes to the top of the mind for so many looks. I mean, when she did the, China Through the Looking Glass, the yellow dress, the heavenly bodies, like she has done so many iconic Met Gala looks that like it was no denying she was going to really just like step on everybody's neck. And she showed up late, but better late than never. And she looked unbelievable. And then coming in at number 1, this was not somebody that I expected to take my top spot, nor somebody I expected to even be at the Met Gala, because she has had a 22-year hiatus from the Met Gala. And this is just not somebody who shows up to things like this anymore. But when she does, my God, does she leave an impression. And it is no other than the boss, Miss Diana Ross. She was one of the first people that I really saw on the carpet, like watched it live. And immediately I was like, close it down. Nobody else needs to show up. She just stole the show. She showed up wearing custom Ugo Mosey. I apologize if that's not the proper pronunciation. With an 18-foot gown embroidered with her family's names in it. She had her kids, her grandkids. She had her whole family's names embroidered in the stitching of this gown. It was truly breathtaking. The hat, the outfit, everything about it was just unbelievable. And I mean, it's Diana Ross. Like, Diana Ross shows up somewhere and it is the moment of the night, whether it's the first person on the carpet or the last person. Like, Diana Ross shows up and nothing else matters. So this was such a pleasant surprise. And also just like, I'm still thinking about it. Like, I cannot stop thinking about that train and the way she really showed up to that carpet. And she was like, yeah, I haven't been here in 22 years, but I'm not going to let you forget who I am. She looked unbelievable. One of the best Met Gala looks in history. Definitely the best look last night by a landslide. She looked fabulous. And now switching gears a bit over to my least favorite looks of the night. Coming in at number 3 for my least favorite was Gayle King. It just didn't do it for me. And I was like, what happened to you in space? That like you came down and you were like, this is a look I'm wearing to the Met Gala. I didn't love the color. I didn't love the way it fit her. I don't know. It wasn't as tailored as I wanted to be. The pockets looked a little frumpy. And like, I understood what she was doing with the style of dress she was wearing, because a lot of people did that, like, you know, like the almost like pillowed pockets out of the waistline. And when you do it right, we have a bunch of people I'll talk about who I actually really like their looks when they did it. When you do it right, it looks great. It just didn't look right on Gayle. Unfortunately, she was wearing custom Chuck Collins. I don't know. It wasn't for me, unfortunately. Coming in at number 2 was Sha'Carri Richardson, which was so disappointing because like I really love Sha'Carri and like she's been through so much in the last few years just with her, you know, we all know what's gone on with Sha'Carri. So knowing that she was going to be there and like especially this year of all years, I was really excited to see like what she was going to do. And don't get me wrong, the face and the nails were stunning. She looked fabulous, but the outfit just didn't do it for me. I was a little confused at what I was looking at. And like, I do applaud her for going a different route. She had like that lacy purple top with like the yellow bows going down, and then it kind of went into like a dress. It just didn't work for me. And then when I found out that it was custom Valentino, I was like, you made a custom Valentino look and this is what you guys ended up with. Like, it just, something about it, just like when I was looking at it, it just didn't do it for me. I don't know. But again, she looked fabulous. The face and the nails, they were on 100. Everything else just didn't do it for me. However, coming in with my worst look of the night is Maya Hawke. What was she wearing? What? Not only was it not on theme at all, like she was not tailored at all. It was literally a flowy cape and a flowy dress. The cape looked cheap. It was like tied around her neck as if it was like from Spirit Halloween. It just didn't do it for me. It was just like when it's tailored for you, you don't show up with a completely flowy outfit on. And like there are some people who did have flowy elements to their outfits. Again, we'll get into it in a little bit, but they did it the right way. This was just flowy everywhere. I didn't think it was tailored. I didn't think it spoke to dandyism or just like anything that like everybody else was going into. There was no trace of menswear. It just like it just completely missed the mark for me, and it wasn't for me. She was wearing custom Prada, which again just like upsets me because like if you're getting a custom Prada outfit done for you for the Met Gala, why isn't it better? I don't know. Wasn't for me. Those are my worst and my top. And now we're going to go through, like I said, a little yes and mess and just kind of go through rapid fire of everybody else I polled. I didn't poll everybody's looks because, again, we will be here forever if I do everybody. So if I skipped one of your favorites or your least favorites, let me know who you were loving and, I can give you my opinion there. But again, I couldn't poll every single person who walked on the red carpet. So I did poll a ton. Don't get me wrong. I probably covered your favorite, your least favorite. I'm sure they are in here. But again, I can't cover everybody. So let's get into it. We're kicking it off with our co-chair. So first up, Colman Domingo, absolute yes. I loved the reveal. I loved both outfits he was wearing. It was custom Valentino. He was paying a reference to the OG dandy, Andre Leon Talley. So, just kicking it off really with such a bang. Again, he is always showing up and showing out when it comes to a fashion event. He just always looks great. And this was such a killer way to kick off the Met Gala. Next up, we had Lewis Hamilton, another yes from me. He worked with a London-based designer, Grace Wales Bonner. Really well done. I really loved the color. And again, he really played into those like details. He had a brooch on his jacket, a brooch on his hat. He had like a little like frilly thing on his pants that really just, again, it gave that idea of like the outfit is speaking for itself. And I thought he did a great job with the tailoring and everything just fit him perfectly. I love this look. Absolute yes from me. Next up, we had A$AP Rocky, who is, again, welcoming a third baby with Miss Rihanna. This was a custom design created by his own creative agency, OG, which, getting a custom look by anybody is incredible, but when it's, like, custom made for you, by you, and your creative team, like, that is just a whole nother level. And again, it just speaks to that dandyism of, like, letting the outfit speak for you. You made this completely yourself. Like, nothing is going to speak for you better than yourself. So I thought that was really cool. And this is how you do a black suit. There was nothing crazy or like no thrills about this in terms of like colors or anything, but he had like a cool, like almost like puffer jacket to go over it. He had a really nice like diamond crystal necklace. He had a cane, like all the little details in it took it from just being like a black and white outfit to the next level. He also said it was inspired by Harlem, which I thought was like, while the Met Gala is obviously New York, just paying tribute to Harlem, that is such like such a huge pillar in black culture. I thought that was a great way to kind of pay homage there. He looked great. I also loved his hair. I thought it looked so cool. He always shows up looking great. And him and Rihanna are just like a power duo when it comes to fashion. So it was a no-brainer that they were going to show up and show out. And then finally, we had Pharrell Williams. I loved this look. It's definitely a yes for me. It was my least favorite of the co-chairs, I will say. I just thought it could have been a little more. However, it was still a great look. He went with this like pinstripe pearl look. It was a Louis Vuitton suit. I loved the stripes. I loved the pearls. I did see a lot of pinstripes as well, which I love pinstripes on a suit. I think it's such like a classy, nice way to just like elevate a simple suit. It was a great look. I thought it was, he looked great in it, and he definitely wasn't anything boring. But out of the four co-chairs, I will say that was my least favorite. But again, that's the thing with this year's Met Gala is like everybody was so good that when it wasn't like all the way to like 110 level, I'm like, okay, well, that's the little thing. You could have gone a little bit further with it. But again, loved the co-chairs this year. They all did a phenomenal job. Now let's get into some other looks from the night. Kicking it off incredibly strong with Coco Jones and custom Manish Malhotra. Stunning. This is one of my best dressed for the nights for sure. She looked unbelievable. Another one of those trains. It just like went down the stairs and just was breathtaking. An absolute yes for me. Next up, we had Sydney Sweeney in Miu Miu, which she is always in Miu Miu. I love the cutout in the chest. I love the sparkle detail. She looked gorgeous. When doesn't she? Another yes from me. Next up, we had Whoopi Goldberg, and she showed up and showed out, as I expect Whoopi Goldberg to do at the Tailoring Black Style Met Gala. Whoopi is such an icon in in culture in general, but especially in Black culture. So it's a no-brainer that she was going to show up to this year's Met Gala and just like show up 100%. She was wearing Thom Browne, and her outfit had over 350,000 sequins on it. And I mean, if you're going to do a suit, you go to Thom Browne. Like, it's what he does. He nails it, and he nailed this look. It was so much fun, so creative. And when I say like I want people to go the extra mile, look at Whoopi's look. It was the extra mile. She really went for it, and I thought she looked phenomenal. Absolute yes from me. Next up, we had Audra McDonald. I mean, can you say mother? This was gorgeous. It was by Charles Harbison. Fit her perfectly. The train gave the drama. It was just a beautiful piece of art. Truly a masterpiece. A yes from me. Next up, we had Emma Chamberlain. She just looked so cool. I mean, when doesn't she? But she always, like, when she goes to the Met Gala, she really pushes it. And I feel like this year she kind of really pushed the limits a little bit further than she usually does. I loved this look. She was wearing custom courageous. I apologize if I butchered that pronunciation, but an absolute yes from me. Next up, we had Keke Palmer wearing custom Vera Wang. Obsessed. I mean, I love everything Keke Palmer does, and this is no exception. I love the suit element at the top, and then it kind of went into that gown, kind of playing into the idea that I was saying where like some people really did a great job at tying in menswear, but also giving it like a femininity to it. Femininity? Feminine side, you know what I'm saying. She did a really good job at tying in the menswear and the tailored, and then going into this gorgeous gown. She had a stunning train that went behind her, and it was absolutely stunning. I loved it. Next up, somebody who always shows up to the Met Gala looking absolutely stunning, Zendaya. She was wearing Louis Vuitton. She's never looked bad a day in her life. Like, I think Zendaya is truly incapable of looking bad, and this was just perfect. It wasn't too over the top, but it fit her perfectly. It had the drama with the heel and the hat. Next up, we had Gigi Hadid. She was referencing Josephine Baker, who was the first Black actress to star in a major film. She was wearing custom gold Miu Miu, and I thought she looked gorgeous. Do I think she could have gone a little bit more with the look? Sure, there could have been a little bit more to it. She always does wear a dress, and she did kind of, if there wasn't further reference, I do think it would have teetered that line of like, did she just want to show up looking pretty and not go on the theme? However, using that Josephine Baker reference, I mean, that is such a huge person to reference in this year's Met Gala. I do think she could have gone a little more adventurous with it. However, she looked great, so I'm going to give her a yes. Next up, my girl Lorde showed up wearing Thom Browne. Thom Browne was all over this carpet tonight. You'll hear his name a lot as I go through this list. I really like this look. Was it the best look I've ever seen in my life? No, but I think she looked really, really good. The bandeau was really cool. It was like just in the front, so it was kind of just like floating on her body, which was cool. It was giving duct tape in the best way possible. And if you are following Lorde this era, you know that like duct tape is part of the era and the aesthetic of it. She's had duct tape taped to her shoes and like every visual she's been doing. So I can only imagine like she's really giving us these Easter eggs. And she said to Emma, she was like, I'm giving you guys a teaser for what's to come with my album. And she also said it was playing around with the gender. So she said she's somewhere in the middle of feeling like a man and a woman right now. And that's kind of been a theme that she's been playing with in these interviews and this album rollout and things like that. So I'm really curious to like hear more about this like gender expression and identity journey she is on right now. I really like this look. I thought it was really great. I love the jacket, the blazer over the shoulder. I thought that was really cool. So I'm going to give her a yes for this one. Next up, I mean, if I could scream it right now, I would scream the word yes. Ego Wodum. This was one of my favorite looks of the night. This was her Met Gala debut, and she was hosting the carpet for Vogue. That is huge. And I just think Ego is having such a huge moment right now. Everything with SNL is just like taking off. She looked stunning last night. She was wearing one of my favorite designers, actually, Christopher John Rogers, who we also had Cole Escola in. We'll talk about in a little bit. And she looked gorgeous. It was a custom piece that he actually went into his archives and created this look for her out of his old pieces. So it was kind of like paying homage to things of Christopher John Rogers' past and like bringing it together to make a whole new look. It was all black, but all the little details really made it stand out. I thought the red shoe added a nice pop of color. He had his signature polka dots on it. And then also like the buttons down the sleeve being all different colors. If you're not familiar with Christopher John Rogers, he's very colorful and vibrant and bright. And this look wasn't necessarily that. And that's the thing that I like about him. When he does something crazy, colorful, and bright, which is his like kind of like his signature, he does very simple kind of pieces with it. You know, it's nothing over the top, but when he does a little more muted and a little more tone back a black or a white. He really plays with textures and lengths, and Ego did a really good job with like those puffy pockets in this look, where I was saying Gayle King didn't do so great. I thought this looked perfect on her. Also, her hair was like a piece of art within itself. So where she wasn't, having the most colorful look or anything like that, like you would usually see from Christopher, he really shined through with the little details and really playing with textures and lengths and things like that. So I love this look. Absolutely one of my best dress of the night. This was unbelievable. Next up, we had Bad Bunny wearing a custom brown Prada suit. I loved his hat. I loved all the details in this. However, I will never get over his 2023 Jack Moose look, where like he had the open back and the floral train. Like he looked so incredible that year. This look was great. It was definitely on theme. It was tailored. I'm like, when you do that one year and then like it doesn't always have the dramatics and the theatrics of that, I will always just be like wishing for that. However, this look was great. He looked really good. I loved his little play on it, kind of tying in, with the straw hat, his own culture and really making it his own. So I do have to give him a yes for that. Next up, and this pains me to say, but Anne Hathaway was a mess for me. I didn't love this look. It was Carolina Herrera. And it was just like, again, when we have a look that like, it wasn't bad by all means, but at the Met Gala, we want more. And it was kind of just like a skirt with a white button down, open a little bit, and a necklace. She didn't look bad by all means. Like it wasn't like it was ugly. It wasn't bad. It was a good look. Just like when you look at the rest of the looks and you look at Anne Hathaway's Versace look from 2023, like that was so show-stopping. So I wanted a little bit more. I thought she could have done a really cool like padded shoulder look or something. Like I feel like, she's tall, so I feel like she could really play with like heights and, kind of like sculptured looks. I wanted something a little bit more from her. So unfortunately, you guys know this pains me because I just adore Anne Hathaway, but this year's Met Gala does have to go with a mess for me. Next up, we had Joey King wearing Miu Miu. This was an absolute yes. Honestly, one of my favorites of the night. I love the way that she played with patterns and mixed it. And it's not an easy thing to do, to mix patterns the way that she did with the checkerboard and the yellow like necktie and the green with the embellishments. But that's kind of what dandyism is, when you're letting it speak for itself and like your confidence and like the way you carry it really makes the outfit come together. This was wonderful. This was fabulous. I absolutely loved it. Good year for Miu Miu this year, between her, Sydney Sweeney. I feel like there was somebody else in Miu Miu. We'll get to it, but really good year for Miu Miu this year. And next up, Teyana Taylor. Talk about stealing the show. She looked unbelievable. She was wearing custom Marc Jacobs, and everything about this look was phenomenal. The do-rag, the cane, the jacket, everything about this was perfection. And she was one of the first people we saw because she was hosting the carpet with Ego. So she really was one of like our introductions to what we were going to see for the night. And as soon as I saw her, I was like, oh, she is setting this bar so high for everybody else. And she was absolutely one of the best dressed, no doubt about it. Another fabulous look from the night was Miss Cynthia Erivo. She showed up in custom Givenchy, looking stunning. I love the detailing on the blazer. There really was so much to look at. And I love like the complex blazer, all the, the details there. I think kind of like the simple black train. It really was a nice contrast, and really the tailoring to it was perfect. And there was a lot going on up top, and there was still a lot going on in the bottom, of course, with the train. However, your eyes really went to the top, and then it kind of was like soothed by the bottom of it, if that makes sense. I really love this look. It was gorgeous. Also, her nails had pocket squares on them to really like give that menswear effect. And it said that it took 2 whole days to get her entire manicure done, which is just like unbelievable. But I mean, Cynthia Erivo is known for her nails, so it makes sense that she's going to go all out for the Met Gala, especially in this like wicked sandwiched year, between the 2 movies. This was knocked out of the park. I absolutely loved it. And unfortunately, switching gears to somebody I did not love so much is Simone Biles. These Olympic girls this year, for some reason, just didn't do it for me. She was wearing Harbison Studio. I liked the color. I just didn't love the dress. I didn't think the cut was great. I didn't like the detailing of it. Like, it just, I don't know. It just rubbed me the wrong way, which again, it's upsetting because I love Simone. I think she is stunning. I think she is so gorgeous. And this was a mess for me. Unfortunately, it didn't do it for me. Next, we had Megan Thee Stallion, which, I mean, when does she ever look bad a day in her life? She looked unfucking believable. She really is like the only woman in the world. I don't care what anybody says. She is next level stunning. Her hair was another homage to Josephine Baker. It was like really cool and really just like had so much dimension to it. It looked so cool. And she was wearing Michael Kors. Next up, we had Miss Dua Lipa wearing Chanel. Her jacket had 45,000 crystals, pearls, and feathers on it, which was unbelievable. I loved the corset. I loved the little reveal, the jacket that came off and then revealed the little dress underneath. It was very elegant and very just like, it gave rich and regal, which we know from her travel plans, Dua Lipa is very rich. This was a yes for me. I absolutely loved it. Next up, we had Miley, my other girl, wearing Pieter Mulier. Again, I apologize if I'm butchering any of these names. I am not a fashion gay, if you couldn't tell. But I really liked this. I thought it was fun to play with like the cropped top and then the high-waisted skirts to kind of play with length. At first, I wasn't sure how I felt about the hair, like the slick back with like the braid or whatever it was. But then once I saw her on the carpet, I was like, all right, wait, I actually really like this. And she was wearing like a really stunning Cartier necklace. So she looked gorgeous. I love this. This was a yes for me. Next up, we had Pamela Anderson, which was unfortunately a mess for me. She was wearing Tory Burch, and it just wasn't my favorite. It looked really stiff, and it just looked uncomfortable almost. Maybe it was the way she was posing. I don't know what it was. I also didn't love the baby bangs on her. Like, it just wasn't working. I was looking at pictures, and I was like really trying to like it because I really am all about this like natural beauty, especially for Pamela Anderson, who was such like a beauty and sex icon for so long. Like, her going barefaced and, going against the grain, it's a big deal. And like, I do applaud it. And I mean, I love that she's doing that. However, the outfit and like the composition of all of it just didn't do it for me. The neckline on the dress, like it was like a really big neckline and it just, I don't know, it didn't do it for me. I apologize, Pamela. While we're on the topic of messes, Jeremy Allen White. Why are men showing up in a boring fucking suit to a menswear Met Gala? Any man, James Corden, who showed up to the Met Gala this year with just a suit on should have been turned away at the carpet. He was wearing Louis Vuitton and it was just so boring. I was like, what are we doing? This is literally tailored for you, not even to play into the theme. Like, it was literally made for men to have fun with these outfits, and showing up in just like a boring basic suit, even though his suit, I think it was like a navy blue, it was just a suit. Like, there was no thrill, nothing fun about it. Have a little fun, like get a little creative with it. It's the Met Gala. So Jeremy Allen White was a mess for me last night. But somebody who did bring it and somebody who put all of these other men to shame, Cole Escola, they looked unbelievable. Again, wearing Christopher John Rogers, one of my faves. It was fun. It was exciting. It was colorful. It was just so Cole. Cole actually also wore Christopher John Rogers at the Thanksgiving Day parade this year when they were riding that big pink flamingo, which was like so iconic. So I love that they are still sticking with the same designer, and it really does just like speak to Cole and their personality and like who they are. So I am just so here for this like Cole Escola world domination. I think we need to get Cole Escola in a higher position in the world. They are what the world needs. And I love to see them winning in any aspect. Next up, we had Miss Alicia Keys, who looked stunning, but when does she not? I loved the headpiece that she was wearing. It was stunning. The neckline on this suit, again, she really did a good job at like tying in the femininity, but also showing menswear. It was like this feminine neckline with this suit, and then it went into like a full tailored suit. So it was a little feminine on top, menswear on the bottom, and it worked so well. She looked stunning. Absolute yes for me. And then somebody who just looks unbelievable every single year, no matter what the Met Gala theme is Janelle Monáe. Always going to be one of the best dressed. And looking back at Janelle's catalog of outfits that they have worn, like this Met Gala was made for Janelle Monáe, and she did not disappoint. She was wearing custom Thom Browne. Again, Thom Browne just killing it this year. Truly just like really stepping on this red carpet or blue carpet time after time after time again, and just reminding everybody that like Thom Browne knows what the fuck he is doing. This was gorgeous. And I believe that Janelle had 3 reveals under their outfit. It was like the big boxy one revealed on the red carpet to the dress, and then it got a little more like sexy at the after party or inside. Just stunning. I absolutely love this look. Next up, we had Shabuzi wearing Robert 1. I was obsessed with this. This is Shabuzi's Met Gala debut, and he did not disappoint. I love the pops of blue and the grill, all the turquoise, like the beading and stuff. This was really fun. And again, another way where like, it wasn't anything over the top. It wasn't a crazy outfit, but he really took like typical menswear and stepped it up a little bit and had fun with it. And that's what I want to see. That's what I want. I want to see you can do menswear by still having fun with it and adding color and adding, little elements, a hat, beading, whatever it may be. Like, there are ways to do menswear that isn't just a suit. And I'm so glad that we have people who were doing it the right way this year. So Shabuzi gets a yes from me. Another Met Gala debut is Amy Lou Wood. She looked gorgeous. I loved it. She was wearing Aluwala. Again, I apologize if I'm butchering that. This was really well done. Another play on like menswear, but also still a little feminine. It was like a suit on top, and then it kind of like went into a gown, and like there was like a slit dress at the bottom. Business on top, party on the bottom. I love this. A yes for me. Her White Lotus co-star, Patrick Schwarzenegger. Another yes. This was really good. I love that it wasn't just a normal suit. He is somebody who like I would expect to show up in like a really nice, sharp, tailored suit. And I love that he kind of went a different route. It wasn't anything groundbreaking, but he had like a pop of yellow. It was kind of like a lower plunged like suit jacket. Like, it wasn't just like the regular typical suit jacket. And then he had like kind of like flowy pants. He was wearing Balmain. So very fun, very exciting. I really did like that look a lot. Next up, we had another one of my favorite looks from the night. Another little pinstripe moment. Tyla. She was wearing Jacquemus and she looked fabulous. She had a lot to live up to after last year's sand outfit. If you remember, it was literally a whole gown made of sand. She absolutely killed it. She looked fabulous. When doesn't she? Another person who looks fabulous no matter where she goes, well, for the most part, but pretty much always looks fabulous, is Doja Cat. This was another one of my favorite looks of the night. I thought she looked fabulous. She was wearing Marc Jacobs, and I mean, between the hair, the details in it, she had a little pop of like the leopard print, which kind of, goes into like the feline, the Doja Cat kind of vibe. This was fabulous. The heels, oh my God, the shoes on Doja Cat's look. If you haven't noticed what shoes she was wearing, they were so sick. I loved the heels. This whole look was just really, really cool. And it had a little like edge to it. Loved this look. It was a great night for Doja Cat. Next up, we had Charlie XCX wearing custom Anna. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this. Demeluster. Again, I apologize. This was fabulous. This was very Charlie. I was obsessed with it. An absolute yes for me. Another yes was Miss Sabrina Carpenter wearing custom Louis Vuitton. This was actually designed by Pharrell. So it was Pharrell by Louis Vuitton, which I thought was really cool because, again, he is the co-chair. I love this. I love the train. I love the color. I love the cut on her. I thought this was really, really well done. This was fabulous. Next up, we had Demi Moore, another Thom Browne knockout. This was so great. And it wasn't great because she just looked good in it. It was fun. It was camp. It was fashion. Demi Moore was literally dressed as a necktie and truly took this menswear idea to the next level. This was unbelievable. So well done and just so much fun. Such a fun, creative way to approach menswear while still looking fabulous. 10 out of 10 for Demi Moore. I loved this look. Another really fun look we had was Damson Idris, who looked so good in his reveal in that red suit. I was like, he looks a little too good, to be honest. When he showed up, he was wearing like an F1 racing jacket, which he's promoting his movie that's coming out. So I understood that, but I was a little like, really? Like, why are we promoting a movie at the Met Gala? Like, there's a time and place for that. You'll have a whole press tour for that. But once they did that reveal, all of those thoughts went right out of my mind. I was like, nope. He ate that. He looked fabulous. He was wearing custom Tommy Hilfiger. It had 20,000 Swarovski crystals on it. He looked unbelievable. I absolutely love this look. Next up, we had Nicole Kidman wearing Balenciaga. And unfortunately, this was a mess for me. And similar to Anne Hathaway, she didn't look bad, but I wanted a little bit more. It was very classic. It was very beautiful. She looked great, but you're at the Met Gala. Go a little bit further. I wanted more to it. And you guys know I love Nicole Kidman. I love Anne Hathaway. So saying that I didn't like their looks is like not something I would usually say. It's very out of character for me, but it just didn't do it for me. So I apologize, Nicole. It was a mess. Next up, we have Lizzo looking fucking fabulous. I loved this look. She was wearing Christian Siriano. It fit her perfectly. She looked so cool. I love the black and white elements to it. She looked like she was having the time of her life last night. Like she was TikToking, she was on Instagram. Like she just looked like she was truly living her best life last night. And then not only was she like showing up to the Met Gala looking stunning, having the time of her life, she literally showed up to Pieces, which is a gay bar in the West Village, if you don't know, in her Met Gala dress after to go like party with the gays, which I'm just obsessed with. I don't care what you say. They could never make me hate Lizzo. This was such a fun night for her. And I love that she's just like having fun and like doing whatever she wants, looking fabulous, feeling fabulous, and acting fabulous. Absolute yes for Lizzo for me. Next up, Miss Rosalia wearing Oliver Roosting, looking stunning. She looks fabulous always, but this really fit her like a glove, which tailored for you as it should. Loved the top. I love that it kind of went into like a mermaid trainee kind of dress thing. She looked fabulous last night. I love this look. Next up, we had Lana Del Rey, who for a second year in the row is a mess for me. She was wearing Valentino, and I just did not like this. I think what really threw me off was like the black on top was so dark and so black, and then the skirt just like didn't match it, and it wasn't like it was like it was trying to be a different color. Like it looked blackish gray. So like it was two different tones, and it just like threw me off. I thought the feathers on her shoulder were pretty cool, but like, I don't know. It doesn't do it for me. It was a mess. And I didn't like her look last year either. I thought the antlers were weird. It just was like a lot. So maybe it's a me thing. I don't know, but it was a mess for me. Next up, we had Maluma wearing Chavaria. Maluma is so fucking fine. Like that is a man if I have ever seen one. He looked scrumptious. My God. I literally was like, he walked on the carpet and I was like, oh my God, he is so good looking. It actually pains me. He was actually paying homage to a Pachuco, which is a member of a Mexican-American youth subculture, which I was actually unfamiliar with that term. I had never heard of it. So I did a little bit of research, and they were very popular for wearing the type of suit that he was wearing. It's called a zoot suit. So it was kind of his way to tie in his culture, similar to Bad Bunny, tying their culture into the theme of the Met Gala, which I think is really fun because, again, fashion is expressive. You're supposed to show who you are through your clothing, especially with this dandyism and like letting the clothes kind of speak for you. So I think tying in your culture while still staying on theme is not an easy thing to do. And I think him and Bad Bunny did a fabulous job doing this. And I mean, also like, I could look at Bad Bunny and Maluma all day long. So like that definitely helps. Next up, we had Nicole Scherzinger wearing Prabal Gurung. Gorgeous. She looked fabulous. I love this look. Not a single note. Absolute yes from me. Another yes is Miss Quinta Brunson wearing custom Sergio Hudson. This was really well done. It was really clean. It was tailored to her. It was elegant. It was a really good look on her. I loved the hair swoop down. I loved like the jacket over the dress. It was just like, it fit in all the right places. It looked gorgeous on her. She's another one who, like I said at the top of the show, she's short. So it's hard to really, dress certain ways. And I think this style on her fit her perfectly. I loved it. She looked gorgeous. Next up, we had Barry Keoghan, which was an absolute mess for me. He was wearing custom Valentino, and I just was like, I didn't understand. Like, did you get the message? Did you get the theme? Nothing about this was tailored. His pant legs went over his shoes. His sleeves were too short. It didn't scream like tailored. It didn't scream dandyism. It didn't give like black culture. It just like, I was really confused at this entire look. And it was just like, I was looking at it and I was like, are you at the same event as everybody else? This was without a doubt a big mess for me. Next up, we had Law Roach, who was having the time of his damn life this week at all the parties I saw he was at, everywhere, every interview, everything. He was just celebrating everything about the Met Gala this year being so black forward and, celebrating black culture. And I love that. And that's what I mean when I say that, like, this year's Met Gala is more than just the fashion. It was so important for the culture, and seeing all of these people celebrate their culture and their fashion and everything in their history. It was, of course, again, I am a white male, so I am not in on these cultural things with them in that sense, but I can appreciate it. And I love that they are having this moment and able to celebrate. And they kept saying, they were like, this just feels like a reunion. We are all together. We're having fun. And it looked like such a fun time because everybody there was there to celebrate together. And Law Roach was leading the pack. He looked great. He was wearing custom Burberry. It was like a velvet, like a crushed kind of velvet vibe. Really fabulous. I was surprised that he went with a short hair because obviously Law is known for the long hair that he usually does, but he went with like this bleach blonde, almost like short swoopy hair. Definitely took me by surprise, but after I looked at it a few times, I was like, you know what? I actually do like it. It does look good. And I thought it was fun to kind of play up and do something new. Next up, we had Miss Kendall Jenner, who just looked stunning. Like, she just has a gorgeous face, and I really liked her look. It was nothing over the top, nothing crazy, but it did speak to the theme, so I really appreciated that. It was by Taurus Sheju Dumi. I thought she looked great. Thought it was stunning. A yes for me. Sticking on the Kardashian train, next up we have Kim Kardashian wearing a custom chrome heart two-piece. I didn't hate this look, but I didn't love it. What I will say, I really appreciate the fact that Kim stuck to the theme. She didn't just try to go for pretty, which I feel like Kim a few years ago would have gone for pretty. She just would have been like, nope, I want to look stunning. I want to look gorgeous, and not necessarily stuck to the theme. But I feel like over the last like 3, 4, maybe 5 Met Galas, she's kind of come into her own and started to really play into the themes and, you know, have fun with it. She always looks stunning. I mean, she's Kim Kardashian. She's not my favorite person in the world, but she is beautiful. They all are. So she's always going to look pretty, but I think she leaned on it a little bit too much for a while. And now she's really made a name for herself in the fashion world. And she's known for being, you know, fashion forward and whatever. So I was appreciative that she did like the two-piece kind of playing into the menswear idea of it. The hat was cool. I just don't know. I don't think it was the look for me. It just, I don't know. So she looked good. I'll give her a yes. You know, I give Kim Kardashian a lot of shit on this show. I'll give her a yes. She did look good. And I do really appreciate the fact that she went with the theme. However, Kylie Jenner is a mess. I hated this look. It was by Maximilian Davi. Did not like this look at all. Nothing about it. Of course, her face looked gorgeous, but the look was just not it for me. Also, very notably, Timothée Chalamet was not there despite partying at all of the pre-parties all weekend long. So not sure when they're going to have their red carpet debut. Honestly, I'm not like dying for it, but I know a lot of people are. So who knows when that's coming, but I was shocked that he wasn't even there, even not alongside Kylie. Shocked that he wasn't there. Next up, we had Hailey Bieber. This was so simple. I appreciate the fact that she stuck to the theme and did a menswear look, but it was like a blazer mini dress. Like, that's all you could pull out. You've worn more exciting menswear things out to dinner before. So for that reason, I'm going to give her a mess. She looked gorgeous, like face and makeup wise, but like, it's the Met Gala. Go a little bit further. Have more fun with it. You have worn better menswear looks out to events and dinner, and you show up in a Saint Laurent blazer mini dress. It was a snooze. Somebody who was the actual opposite of a snooze is Andre 3000, showing up in custom Burberry with a piano on his back. And not only did he show up with a piano on his back, as he showed up to the red carpet, he dropped an EP called 7 Piano Sketches that has a sketch of his Met Gala look on the cover. So that's really fun. And I love that he kind of like took it to the next step and like released an EP with the look. Like, it really makes it a full interactive kind of experience. And I mean, it's Andre 3000. He's always a little out of the box, a little kooky. I mean, he's literally from Outkast. Like this is not the craziest thing for him to do, but like when you look at everybody else kind of not playing it safe this year, but you know, just kind of like doing what they feel is right. The fact that he like showed up with a piano and a garbage bag and then released an EP, it really took his look to the next level. And I really appreciate that. So I love this. And the whole vibe of it is a yes. And it spoke to dandyism. It spoke to the idea of like the outfit speaking for himself. And now he's taking the outfit a step further with this EP. So for that, I'm giving him a yes. Next up, we had Jeremy Pope wearing vintage Margiela. He looked so hot. I was like, can we talk about his arms? I was staring at them the entire time he was getting interviewed. He looked gorgeous. I really love this look. It was so well done. Next up, one of my other favorite looks of the night was Alton Mason, who honestly, I had no idea who this person was before the Met Gala. I don't really keep up with models that much. I don't know a lot of them. However, this look was show-stopping. He had the reveal. It was the black overcoat. He took it off, and then it was all the silver underneath. He looked unbelievable and 100% had one of my favorite looks of the entire night. And it was custom design from Boss. So very fun. Loved that. Next up, we had Chappell Roan making her Met Gala debut. And she brought the Pink Pony Club to the Met, which is exactly what we wanted at the Met from Chappell. She was wearing custom Paul Tazewell, who is the costume designer from Wicked, Death Becomes Her the Musical, and Hamilton. He just won the Oscar for costume design for the Wicked movie. So the fact that now Chappell is working with him for the Met Gala outfit was so iconic. Also, Pat McGrath did her makeup, and this is the first time that Pat McGrath is doing anybody's makeup, and it was gorgeous. It was very fun, very campy, very like drag. Absolutely loved it. I think this was a fabulous debut for Chappell. This was a yes for me. Oh, I also loved the pink fur coat that revealed to like the suit. This was a win. I absolutely loved it. Just perfection. I loved it. Next up, another outfit that I absolutely loved was Laura Harrier. She wore a custom Gap studio look. And this is what I was saying when I said you can do flowy and, breathable and big, but still be on theme. The sleeves and the pants were so flowy and, big and not tailored. However, that corset and like the whole mid part of it was so incredibly snatched to her body that it worked. She looked like an angel. She looked fabulous. One of the best dressed of the night. I absolutely love that look. And then, honestly, probably the biggest shock of the night besides Diana Ross showing up, Miss Lauryn Hill shows up to the Met Gala for the first time ever. And like, what better time for Lauryn Hill to show up to the Met Gala than like when they're celebrating Black style? Like, it makes sense that this is the year she decides to finally go. But like, I thought Diana Ross was a gag. Lauryn Hill had me gagged, honestly, a little bit more, because again, it's her first time ever at the Met Gala, and she looked fabulous. She was wearing Burberry, and she just had this like gorgeous glow with the yellow and the hat. She had a little fan with her. Like, she really made a whole spectacle of herself and looked fabulous. She looked like a ray of sunshine just walking up those stairs. She had the train. She had the it was great. Unbelievable. And like, for Lauryn Hill to make her Met Gala debut in 2025 is crazy. And again, this is what I mean. Like, the Met Gala this year is one for the books. This is truly a historic Met Gala. It really is like, fabulous. I honestly am like, I don't buy magazines often, but like, I think I want to go buy the Vogue Met Gala issue for this year, because it really was like one of the best Met Galas we have seen in years. And I just know it's going to go down in history. And like, I want to have that piece of history, but I'm getting ahead of myself. And now we're coming up. We have 3 more looks left, so we are almost done. Next up, we have Cardi B, who was wearing Daniel Lee. This was gorgeous. The hair, the outfit, the color on her, I loved it. Another person who really took menswear and gave it their own flair. I thought this was really, really well done. She always nails the Met Gala for the most part. Like, any look I can think of with her for the Met Gala, she always really does look fabulous. This was really fun and a little something different than she usually does. So I appreciate that. This was fabulous. And I hate to put these two right next to each other, but it is just the way that it happened. Next up, we have Nicki Minaj wearing custom Tom Brown. Again, Tom Brown really showing out on this red carpet. It is so crazy how many outfits were a Tom Brown dress or a suit or whatever it was. She went for a custom Tom Brown dress, and another example of just blending that masculine and feminine. It had a little bit of suit element. It had like a dress element. It really had a lot to look at, and I really liked it. She really wasn't afraid to play into like the fun over the top costume. She had that big shoulder piece, and like she had just like the details on it that really took it from an outfit to a costume in a couture way. This was fabulous, and absolute yes for Nicki Minaj from me. And then wrapping it up with another fabulous look from the night, Miss Jenna Ortega. I loved this look. She originally showed up, or she like left the hotel wearing this like giant suit jacket, and I was like, I hope that's not it, because like, yes, that is the theme, menswear or whatever, but like, you can't just wear a giant suit jacket and like call that your Met Gala look, like we need a little bit more. And she did not disappoint. She showed up wearing a custom Balmain dress that literally it was made out of like measuring tapes that you use to tailor somebody's suit. Like just like Demi Moore, she took this idea of menswear and made it literal, and it was so well done. I absolutely loved it, and I just think like the way that her and Demi Moore really played into this, like, I'm gonna take menswear but take it literally by being a tie, by being the measuring tape that you use to tailor a suit. Like, it's a fun, campy way that really, like, a lot of people didn't dive into that element of it. Like, there wasn't many people who like they had fun, of course, but it wasn't like, I say silly and campy in the highest regard. It was like they took it and made it their own. And that's like what fashion is about. That's what this is all for. Like, you're supposed to make a statement. And those two were just so much fun and really showed their creativity. And like, they weren't afraid to like go against the grain and have a little bit of fun with it. Truly show-stopping. I loved it. And that wraps up our Met Gala recap. What a great year for the Met Gala. Truly like one for the books. The entire carpet, the theme, it was just such good vibes. Seriously, like, I would honestly go on record and say like the best Met Gala we have had in the last 5 years. Easily. It was fabulous. My one issue I had with the Met Gala this year is I would have loved some drag representation on the carpet. I mean, thinking of like Simone's do-rag look, Shea Coulee, Bob the Drag Queen, Monet Exchange, our reigning queen, Anya Nerve. Like, I would have just really loved to have like 2, maybe 3 black drag queens to really play into this theme, because of course drag is this feminine illusion. So I think to have them on the carpet in drag, but still playing with like a menswear look, I think it could have been really cool to have like Simone or Shea or Anya all full glam, you know, dressed in their like drag realness, fantasy, whatever, but then wearing like a tailored suit or something like that. Like, I think they really could have had a lot of fun with the like the gender bending almost of it, because it was leaning into menswear and, you know, it would just create this really cool illusion. However, that is really the only issue I had with this year's Met Gala. It was such a fabulous event. Everybody, for the most part, really nailed it with their looks. And again, just one for the books. They really did their big one with the Met Gala this year. And that is a wrap on the 2025 Met Gala. We will be back here doing this again next year for the first Monday in May 2026. But until then, it's a wrap. But we are not done just yet. We have a little bit more to go through. Nothing too much. No TV recap this week, but very exciting. Drag Race All-Stars comes back this week, so I'm very excited. We have 18 girls competing. They're going to be competing in 3 different brackets. It's a tournament of All-Stars, so it's the first time they're doing something new, so I'm very excited. And we also got some sneak peeks of the guest judges, and the guest judges this season are gaggy. We have Ariana Grande, Cynthia Erivo, Chappell Roan, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Ice Spice, Coleman Domingo, like big names for All-Stars. I am so excited. That premieres on Friday. And then actually, literally while I was recording, I took a break to take a sip of water, checked my Instagram, and they announced that Love Island is coming back on June 3rd. So we will be chatting RuPaul's Drag Race All-Star Season 10 and Love Island all summer long. I am so excited to have more shows to recap for you guys, and I cannot wait for this summer of TV to kick off. And that being said, we have made it to the final segment of the show. I know we pretty much did Yes and Mess the entire episode, but I still need to end the show with my Yes and my Mess. You know, it just doesn't feel right to not wrap it up with something like that. So that being said, we have made it to my Yes and my Mess of the week. My Yes being something I am loving and my Mess being something I am not loving. And my Yes this week is Lady Gaga's Copacabana Brazil performance. Unbelievable. Yes, it was her Coachella performance, which I was saying last week, I wasn't expecting to see this Coachella set again. And like, yeah, sure, maybe switch it up. But the fact that she pulled 2.5 million people for this audience, when last year Madonna polled 1.6. And I'm not putting them against each other. Trust me, I'm not like pitting Madonna, Gaga, that I am not that gay. I am not the one. But like, to see that Madonna did 1.6 last year and broke the record, and now a year later, Gaga does it with 2.5 million is incredible. It was the highest attended concert by a female artist in history, surpassing Madonna's 2024 performance at the same venue. And like, this is a free show. I mean, I just can't even imagine like the energy for this concert. I mean, especially in Brazil, like they go so incredibly hard for these pop girls. Like, it had to be insane. The crowd looked wild. Gaga looked so thrilled and happy to just be on that stage and getting all of that love. Even like the week leading up to it, seeing everybody outside listening to her sound check, and Gaga was like pretty much talking to them during the sound check. It was just such a cool career defining moment for Gaga. And I mean, 2.5 million people in one space is unbelievable. Seriously, like, kudos. Incredibly disappointing to me. Duolingo has announced that they will replace their contract workers with AI. The company launched 148 new AI-generated courses in the past year, a process that previously took 12 years. AI will also influence hiring and performance reviews. And listen, I know that AI is the future and it is the direction that we're going. And I understand, you know, it makes things easier, I guess, and it cuts the corners and whatever. But when you look at Duolingo, that has really done such an incredible job at branding themselves and being so viral on social media, like they are such a standout digital presence when it comes to a brand. Like, they have really shaken up the social space when it comes to a brand. To see them now cutting people out of their workflow and like replacing it with AI, and like now they're hiring and their performance reviews are also going to be done through AI. It's just like, how do you have such a fun social presence and clearly this creativity that like, that creativity isn't coming from AI. Like, you have people on your team who are making these ideas and these social concepts and these videos and producing these like high budget videos for you guys. Now you're going to go ahead and cut some other workers and replace them with AI. Like, it's right in front of you. Like, nothing's going to produce work the way that a human being can do. So to see a company that clearly leans on the creativeness of their employees so much now kind of backtracking and cutting other departments and kind of replacing them with AI, and now their performance reviews and hiring is all going to be more AI generated. It was just really disappointing. And I'm seeing a lot of people who are really upset by this. I don't use Duolingo, but as somebody who works in digital marketing and social media, like, I can appreciate a killer social presence, and Duolingo really is like top of the line. It's like Duolingo, Wendy's are like the two, I feel like, big social media presence that really just like push the boundary and have fun with it. And it's because of the human beings, the realness, the real people behind it. You know, it's not because of AI coming up with these prompts to film a video. It's just disappointing. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, this can't be real. Like, tell me this is an Onion article. Like, tell me this is fake. And lo and behold, it is real. So that is my mess for the week. And that means we have made it to the end of the episode. Thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode of Too Pop to Handle. If you liked what you heard and you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you go ahead and give us a big thumbs up, hit subscribe. Like I said, I will be doing a Miley Cyrus reaction video to her new single coming out this Friday, so stay tuned for that. If you're listening to us as a podcast, as I said, it costs $0 to leave me a 5-star rating. So it would really mean the world to me. Thank you so much in advance if you do. Thank you to everybody who has already left me a 5-star rating. It really does mean the world to me. If you would like some more moments from the week that were just too pop to handle between episodes, you can head over to my Substack. I'll have it linked down below. I send out a weekly newsletter with some extra pop culture moments that you might have missed between episodes. If you would like to follow me on social media, I am at Too Pop to Handle across all platforms, and my personal is at Andrew Nucatola. I think that is everything. I have like a long laundry list every episode. I'm like, wait, this, plug this, review, subscribe. It's like, you got a lot to think about as you're doing these outros. And with that, I will catch you guys next week. Bye.